NetsBoy, so let's hear what he has to say. His name is NetsBoy, he thinks the world is all over when the Nets just can't play. What up, Net fans? NetsBoy here, bring your latest in your Brooklyn Nets news. Okay, so the All-Star festivities have all wrapped up, and we're officially more than halfway through the NBA season, so it's that time of year where NetsBoy takes a look at the first half of the season for the Brooklyn Nets, which in this case is just a pile of crap. I mean, there is not much to say other than negative things, so let's dive right in and start with the crap. I mean, the Nets are 9-47. 9-47. They are on pace for about 18 wins. Maybe. This is something that is incredible, in my opinion. I've said this throughout this whole entire year that this team should not be this bad, but they just are. And there's a lot of flaws to this team, but it's interesting that the players who have played well in the beginning of the year have become completely useless now. And we're going to dive right in. I'm going to name some players, and I'm going to give them grades, that fun, A, B, C, D, mid-season grades on all these players. And, yeah, you know what? I'm going to actually do that. I'm going to go through every single player on the active roster right now for the Nets and give them a grade. And I'm going to go in order of the way they're listed on the website. So let's start off with Quincy AC. He's barely been with the team, but since he's been with the team, he's been pretty solid. He's replaced useless Anthony Bennett, who, I would give an F because Anthony Bennett's a piece of crap, and I'm so glad he's off the team. But he basically replaced him as like the 13th man or the 12th man or 11th man, a guy who gets an opportunity when there's an injury or somebody's resting. And I think he's done fine. There's not much to say about him. So I'm just going to give him a solid B. He's not a savior. He hasn't played poorly. I think he's just a good energy guy. I think he fits right into that next man up, 11th man type role that he's in. So Quincy AC, I give a B. There's not really much to say about him. Then we got my friend Bojan Bogdanović. Bojan, to me, gets a D, and the only reason why he doesn't get an F is because he shows glimpses of being good at some points. But this was a guy who was supposed to take his game and skill to the next level. This is his third year in the NBA. This is a guy that everyone's saying, Bojan, he's going to be one of the leaders of this team. He's going to be like one of their second or third lead scorers, so on and so forth, which, first of all, he actually is the second lead scorer, I think, on the team. But that's just because there's no one else who can do anything other than Brook Lopez. But, he's so bad, it's not even funny. Like, I'll give you an example of the type of player he is. Marco Bellinelli is a great example of what Bojan Bogdanović should be like. Marco Bellinelli, they thought kind of highly of him. Like, he was going to be a really good, solid player after he was like a star in Europe. He's just proven to be a really good rotational player. He's a guy who can make the three ball, he can make the mid-range jump shot, but he's not a guy that you count on a regular basis to give you, 15, 20 points. He can, and he's a very good, solid rotational player, but he's not really much more than that. And that, to me, is what Bojan Bogdanović is. That same type of player, a guy who's capable of scoring and giving you 20, but really, let's be honest, he's just an okay, solid rotational player. And we see that now. So I give him a D because the expectations for him were higher, and the people thought that this guy was going to become not necessarily a star, but a legitimate scorer. And let's be honest, he's not. He's okay at times. Turns the ball over too much, becomes a black hole, always loses the ball, can't dribble, can't play defense at all. Mediocre rebounder for someone who's his height. He's just bad. So he gets a D. Because he just gets a D. And I hope the Nets trade him. Then we got Trevor Booker. Trevor Booker, I'm going to give a solid B too. He started off great as well, but he has tapered off a little bit. It's kind of interesting. Booker, I think, once again, has proven why he was not a starter in this league. He's a great energy guy. He has moments of greatness. He's a solid defender, great rebounder, good offensive games sometimes, a little hit or miss. But I think you see that the consistency isn't quite there on the offensive end, which is why he normally doesn't start. I've said this before. I think his energy, his toughness, his defense is great. And I think he's somebody who should definitely continue to come off the bench for the Nets, which he has been the last few games. And I think that's a good role for him. He's certainly worth being considered a starter on some teams. I think he's a very solid power forward and is somebody you could start if needed. But I still think he's best fit off the bench, which I think that's where he should stay. Just because, you want that energy guy off the bench, and that's what Booker provides. But I give him a B because he showed this year that he's proven that he is a legitimate rotational big, and he's a solid player, and he can start, and I give him props. But he's kind of also tapered and not become as big of a player as he was towards the beginning of the year. Like, I remember the first few games, you couldn't go a game without saying, what a great play by, Trevor Booker. But now you're just kind of like, oh, look, Trevor Booker's in. So he gets a B. Next guy on the list of the Nets is Spencer frickin' Dinwiddie. Who the hell is Spencer Dinwiddie? But actually, in all seriousness, he's played pretty well the last few games. I think I don't know if he saw one of my NetsBoy posts or one of my NetsBoy videos and me going off on him, but he's actually been pretty solid the last few games. But regardless of that, he's not Yogi Ferrell. I wish he was. So Spencer Dinwiddie, you're going to get a C because you're just there. I don't know why you're on this team. You look good right now, but I know it's just all like a few stretches that you're okay because there's a reason why you're like a D-League player throughout your whole career. He's not that great. He's not a great shooter. He's, not a great finisher. He's not a great defender. He's just got good size for the point guard position and is a good ball handler. So he gets a C because he's just there. I really can't get too mad at him because he's not that bad. But I just don't understand why he's on the team when we had Yogi Ferrell. So you get a C because you're just there. Okay? Next, Randy Foye. I'm going to give Randy Foye a B-. This was a guy who's played pretty well of late and is kind of reestablishing himself as a veteran leader and a scorer. But the truth is, he hasn't really gone above and beyond what my expectations of him were. He's actually exactly what I thought he would be. So I give him a B- only because, he's just good, which is what a B- is, in my opinion. A B- is a player who's just good. B- player. I had nothing bad to say about Randy Foye. I got nothing really good. He's just what I expected. So he's a B player. Next, we got Justin Hamilton. He gets a C. Justin Hamilton is a guy who looked great at the beginning of the year and then fell off the face of the earth completely. Combination of the whole contact lens thing, the wrong prescription, couldn't see, that and the fact that defenses figured him out. He really can just shoot. He can't do anything else. He's not a good defensive player. He's an average rebounder at best. He's not athletic. He's not able to post up too well. He's just a big guy who can shoot threes. So once the defense figured that out, they were able to guard him. So he gets a C only because he kind of is what he is. I'm not sure what the Nets' expectations really were of him. I think he's proven, like I said, he's a guy who's in that like Quincy Acey type rotational big, not so much, but like a 11th, 10th man, 11th, 10th, 12th man, 13th type of rotational player who should get opportunities when there's injuries. That's the mold he fits in. I think he's proven that. So because he is right there as well, just kind of like an average, okay big man, he gets a C as well. Joe Harris. Joe Harris, I'm giving a B. It would have been an A or an A- if he hasn't slipped like he has the last few weeks. That's partially because he was hurt and had that, I think there was an ankle injury or something. And, a shooter needs his lower body, so I understand it. At the beginning of the year, I definitely would have given Joe Harris an A or an A- for how great he has played. And I was so against Joe Harris at the beginning of the year when I heard they signed him. I'm like, I was like all Spencer Dinwiddie like with him. I'm like, who the hell is Joe Harris? What's the point of him? And now I'm like, you know what? I like this guy, and I think he's going to be a key piece for this Nets team in the future because he can make the three ball. He can slash to the basket better than you think he should, and he's just a tough player, and I like that about him. If anybody knows why they play the Godfather theme when he makes a basket, can someone post that and let me know? Because I don't know if you noticed that. I mean, I've gone to a couple games, and I've heard it, and I hear it when I watch the games on TV. Whenever he makes a basket, they play the Godfather theme. And I don't know if I'm missing a connection here that's just really obvious. But If anybody knows, they can comment and let me know because I'm just kind of side note, like I'm confused. But anyway, I give him a B because he's fallen off a little bit lately. But maybe he's someone I think can pick it back up. But he's been pretty solid, and I'm pretty impressed with how he's played. Just he's got to get healthy again and get back into that flow that he was earlier in the season. Rondé Hollis-Jefferson. I'm going to give Rondé Hollis-Jefferson a B as well. I'm a little disappointed that he hasn't really shown much more development from last year. He's shown to be a little bit better, a little bit more consistent on the all around, but he really hasn't taken his game to the next level. He hasn't really he's gotten better with the three ball, but he's still not much of a three threat. They still sag off him at the line. He's good at getting to the foul line, though. I do see the potential, and I see why the Nets like him, but I feel like at this point in his second season, I kind of expected a little bit more out of him. But I give him a B because he hasn't been bad. He's been pretty solid as well. So I give Rondé Hollis-Jefferson a B. Sean Kilpatrick. I don't know what the hell happened to this guy. Once again, like Joe Harris, if this was the beginning of the year, I would have given him an A minus, because of how great he was of a scorer. But I'm giving him a B minus right now because he's completely fallen off the face of the earth. I don't know what has happened to him. If it's, more minutes are going to Caris LeVert now and less are going to him, or, other people getting opportunities to score. But Sean Kilpatrick is just not the same player he was when he was first really dominating. I think he is the biggest difference between the Nets team that went 4-4, obviously other than Jeremy Lin being out. The Nets team that went 4-4 and the Nets team of now is the team early in the season. Sean Kilpatrick played really well. You could guarantee he would score about 20 points a game and be literally a go-to scorer down the stretch of games. Now he's just kind of like, we get 10 points out of him, good. And then he tries too hard to be the guy down the stretch, and he messes up. So I give him a B minus because he's completely fallen off the face of the earth, and I think he's the key moving forward. That and the fact that Jeremy Lin is reportedly supposed to be back for the Denver game, his first game back. Him and Jeremy Lin are the key to the next second half of the season. If Lin comes back healthy and plays well, it can help the Nets out significantly. And if Sean Kilpatrick can refigure out the way he played earlier in the season. So I give him a B minus because, like I said, I don't know what the hell happened to him, but he hasn't played well of late. Caris LeVert. I'm going to give Caris LeVert an A minus. I've been very pleased with what I've seen from him in the limited amount of time in which he's played since he's come back from injury. This kid has potential to be a very good player in the NBA. He's a crafty scorer. He's a very good defensive player. He's very athletic. I think there's a lot of potential for him. I know why the Nets like him. And we've seen glimpses of what this kid could become. So I give him an A minus because right now, I feel like he's the only player who's currently living up to the expectations that the Nets have. And it's an A minus, not an A, because he didn't really go above and beyond those expectations, but he's reaching those expectations. And I see why the Nets really like him. So I give him an A minus, and I think that there's a lot of potential that he could be something really solid. Next is Jeremy Lin. Look, Jeremy Lin gets an NA, not acceptable. Can't talk. NA, because he barely played this year. Like, I can't really judge him. When he played, he was great. I think he was pretty good. Maybe I'll give him a B because that's the default of people who are just like, okay, like he played well before he got hurt. But it's hard to really judge him. He's been hurt. So I'm going to not even really give him a grade. NA. Okay? So we'll kind of skip Jeremy Lin. The good news, like I said, is he's coming back. So I'll really be able to judge him on the second half of the season. Next, Brook Lopez. I give Brook Lopez an A minus. I know, but NetsBoy, he's like the best player on the Nets, and he's your favorite player, and he's shooting threes. Yeah, he's shooting threes, he's scoring, he's doing great, but you know what? He's still not getting any rebounds. If he was averaging like 7-8 rebounds a game, I'd give him an A. But he's not. He's still averaging 5, which is an embarrassment when you're 7 feet tall. So I can't give him more than an A minus. Yes, he can shoot the three now. He's a great scorer. He's the leader, and he's really has nothing else negative you can say about him except for the fact that he's not getting rebounds. And I still don't understand how you can be 7 feet tall, play about 30 minutes a game, and only get 5 rebounds a game unless you just don't try to get rebounds. Like, just try. One game, Brooke, try to get rebounds. Just try. See how many you get. I guarantee you get at least 8 or 9. But anyway, he gets an A minus. because everything else about his game is great. He just needs to get rebounds. And we'll see if Lopez gets traded. The trade deadline is right around the corner. We'll see what happens. This could be the very last episode that I do with Lopez, wearing my Lopez jersey, which is what this is, Lopez jersey. But if he gets traded, I'm obviously not going to wear the jersey. Actually, I don't have another jersey yet. I was going to get a Whitehead one, but I haven't ordered it yet. So, personally, I hope they don't trade him yet, but this could be the last one, so we'll see. So he gets an A-. Next, Chris McCullough. Once again, haven't seen enough of him, just like Jeremy Lin. This for a different reason, though. The Nets just don't play him. So, NA, not equitable. I really can't say that word today. I'm just going to say NA. I've had a long day, people. Just bear with me. Anyway, so NA for Chris McCullough. I hope the Nets eventually play him, but who the hell knows? Luis Scola, C. Maybe I'll give him a C+, because when Scola does play, he still shows that crafty veteran leadership and a really solid player. But once again, him, Quincy Acey, Justin Hamilton, at this point of his career, he's just a 11th, 12th man type of player, a big who can plug in the rotation when needed. So that's that. Which I think you're noticing is the big problem with this Nets team. I've said it before. They don't have any depth in their front court. Or their point guard position right now because they have Spencer freaking Dinwiddie. They just don't have any depth in that front court. You've got Brook Lopez and Trevor Booker. That's it. And now Hollis-Jerferson's playing some of the four. That's okay. That's good. I like that. But I think he's still more of a three. So, we need to figure this out, Sean Marks. But nothing really bad to say about Scola. Nothing good to say about Scola. He's just a solid player. He shows some glimpses of his old self when he's out there, but he is just what he is. So he's a C+. Now, finally, my boy Isaiah Whitehead. I'm going to give Whitehead a B-. I'm a little upset of how well he's played. He started off inconsistent, and then he got played really, really well. Not really well, but solid. But he's just plateaued. And I really feel like he should be taking his game to the next level. Every game, he gets more and more comfortable. I feel like he should be getting better and better. And I haven't quite seen it. So I give him a B- because he's definitely impressed me, because I personally thought that Whitehead would be lucky to even crack the rotation this year. But, injuries gave him an opportunity. But he hasn't really, after he played well, he hasn't really taken it to the next level. Now, he's still in his rookie season, and there's still a lot of growth that he needs. But I was kind of hoping by this point of the season we would see at least glimpses of it. Like, Whitehead, I don't think has had a 20-point game yet. The game against the Spurs, he had I think 15 or 18 or something like that. But he hasn't had a 20-point game yet. He has had a 10-assist game, but he hasn't had a 20-point game. You would think that once or twice Whitehead would have a 20-point, 5 assists, 1 turnover type of game. Something like that, Or a double. He hasn't had a double-double yet. Now, part of that is because now with Spencer freaking Dinwiddie, for some reason, Whitehead's only playing 15 minutes a game. But you would think that he would have shown that at this point of the glimpses. Because when you're a rookie, you don't necessarily play well all the time, but you show the potential with certain games where you just go off. Like Brook Lopez, his rookie year, he had some games where he just dominated and would score 30-something points. You're like, wow, this guy's a rookie. Can't wait for him to get more consistent and comfortable in the NBA. We haven't really seen that from Whitehead yet. We haven't really seen that from LeVert yet. I mean, LeVert had a couple 22-point games, so you kind of saw it, but he didn't really dominate. And we haven't seen that from Hollis-Jerferson yet either. So this is what you want to see from these guys in the future. So I give Whitehead a B- because he's been good, but he hasn't taken it to the next level like I want to see moving forward. Finally, Sean Marks. Well, not Sean Marks. We'll do Sean Marks. He's not finally. Kenny Atkinson would be the last one. Sean Marks. Look, it's hard to grade him because he hasn't done a lot of moves. But I like the moves he made. The only move I didn't like was Spencer Dinwiddie over Yogi Ferrell. But once again, I don't know who made that move. So I'm going to give Sean Marks a B. Because, I know he's swinging hard for the fences. He's trying to get some good players. He struck out a couple times going after some free agents this year. But I think he's made some smart moves. I'm giving him a B. But, to be determined. That's what I should be saying. To be determined. With him as well, because we'll have to see how this year goes. So I'm going to give him a B because based off what he's done, I've been okay with, other than the Dinwiddie thing. And now, finally, Kenny Atkinson. Kenny, I'm going to give you a B+. I think that the situation you're in is unbelievably crappy. Your team sucks. It's not your fault. You have really, really worthless players like Spencer Dinwiddie. You're doing what you can. And I think the Nets have 9 wins. I think the Nets should have a little bit more than 9 wins. Personally, I still think the Nets should be around the 15-win mark at this point of the season. But injury to Jeremy Lin, inconsistent play, Spencer freaking Dinwiddie, So I give him a B+ because I think he's actually doing a really good job under the circumstances. And I'm still pretty pleased with him as the head coach of the Nets. I still think that maybe he needs to figure out the rotation a little bit better. And maybe, I don't want to say you want to dominate and go through Brook Lopez constantly, because they use Brook a lot, but at some point there should never be a possession that Brook doesn't touch the ball. And I think that's something that the Nets might need to look forward to moving forward if they don't trade Lopez. So I give him a B+ because I think he's been really good, and I think he's done exactly what I've hoped to do, and I think he's got the idea of what he wants. So that's that. So there you have it. Those are the grades for the Nets team on the current roster and coaches. We'll see what happens. Overall, the Nets as a team get an F. It's as simple as that. They get a giant failing F because I didn't think they were going to be this bad. Some people did. I didn't think so. So in my opinion, it's an F because to not even have 10 wins at this point in the season, it's just you're on pace for 18 wins if you're lucky. So, Nets, you get an F. Turn this crap around. This is ridiculous. Jeremy Lin comes back. All right. The Nets are finally going to have a full, healthy roster again. Let's see what happens. Personally, at this point, I'll be content and happy if the Nets can break 20 wins. If the Nets can break 20 wins this year, I'll be happy. So they got to win 11 more games of their last, 32 games or something like that. I think they have 32 games left of the season, or 31 games. If they can win 11 of the next 31 games, I'll be happy. But we'll see. And we'll see what moves happen at the trade deadline. I'm going to probably obviously do another NetsBoy after the trade deadline and talk about if the Nets make any moves. So keep your eyes open for that. And let me know what you guys think, what grades you would give certain players in this team overall. If you agree with me that this Nets team is an F and that some of these players that you think should get a higher grade, lower grade. Like I said, I explained my grading system. Everyone's is different. So let me know what you think. And until then, keep your eyes open for the latest NetsBoy. And this is NetsBoy, signing off.